My goal for this video is to not touch my hair the entire freaking time. But I might be moving my head around to get it out of my eyes. After seeing your Twitter picture of the 3 samples, I actually like the blue the most. So I know it's not the Sully's Fur blue, but I think I was wrong in thinking that green would be better. I always make these videos sitting on the floor and in my pajamas and without doing my hair or putting on makeup. So sorry. So that book about the 4 agreements, that actually sounds really interesting to me. A lot of the ideas that you talked about are things that I already kind of live by. I always try to remember that people are in their own head and do not consider the perspective of other people. That being said, I am constantly considering the perspective of other people and very rarely worrying about myself. Looking back, I feel like that's really robbed me of my own perspectives and my own opinions. There's like little things, like I really can't name my favorite type of food because I've always just gone wherever anyone else wanted to go. I was always the Yellow Ranger for when we played Power Rangers because everyone wanted to be the Pink Ranger. Also, I'm Asian. That makes the first agreement, which is to be honest with yourself, really hard for me, and that's one thing that I definitely want to work on. The same can be said about talking negatively about myself and other people, which is still part of the first agreement from what I remember. In college, I was mean. In high school, I was mean. In middle school, I was mean, but I always thought I was being really nice. There's this episode of 30 Rock where Tina Fey is going to her high school reunion, and she just keeps thinking like, oh, they always bullied me, this is gonna be miserable. But then when she goes, she realizes that she was the one who was the bully the whole time. Like, these really popular girls would come up to her and say like, hey, I like your shirt, and she'd be like, your mom likes my shirt. I think that my problem when I was younger is that I really was self-conscious and insecure. So I thought that the way that I was judgmental towards other people, they were judgmental towards me too. So that thing about how you were saying that people are just mirrors of yourself, I completely agree. And I think that when I was younger, all of the negativity that came out of me was because I was really negative on the inside about myself. And now that I've accepted who I am on the inside and I actually like who I am on the inside, I think that I exude that outward, and I think that I have a positive vibe. So I'm also reading a book, but it happens to be the same book I've been reading for like the last 3 months, His Dark Materials. I hate when books are separated into parts because I'll finish a part and then I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna take a little break. And that's what happened with this, and like I didn't go back to read it until today. In the book, there's like every person has an animal companion that is part of them. And when you're a kid, that animal like constantly changes and becomes whatever you're feeling. Like if you're happy, it's a monkey. If you're sad, it's a sloth, like whatever. And then when you grow up, it takes its final form. And pretty clearly that's like an allegory for like when you're young and finding yourself, and then you grow up and you become something, and then that's who you are. The little girl in the book is like on a boat, and her animal is being a dolphin, and he's like loving it and he's so happy, and she's afraid that he's going to stay a dolphin forever, so she'll have to stay in the ocean forever. And one of the sailors comes to talk to her because he's had the same fear when he was young. She says, suppose your demon settles into a shape you don't like. He says, well then you're discontented, aren't you? There's plenty of folks who would like to have a lion as a demon, and they end up with a poodle. Until they learn to be satisfied with what they are, they're going to be fretful about it. Waste of feeling, that is. And I think that that point is really poignant to this conversation. I think that part of growing up really is settling into who you are. Okay, I cheated, but it's because it was in my mouth, and that's gross.